Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Already, we are April 23rd and another faculty spotlight. Let me just do a quick infomercial. We'd like to thank Virginia Union University's Division of Academic Affairs for allowing this faculty spotlight. It has just been wonderful to learn so much about our faculty, and today is no different. We have our faculty spotlight today on Dr. Odutola. Dr. Odutola and I have history. We have worked together for many of years here at the campus, and he has a bio that is just a lot to learn about him today. You're going to be amazingly surprised of all the things he has done. And he has been in the field of doing all this for now over 30 something years. And so Dr. Odutola is currently the associate professor of economics and finance in the Sydney School of Business. And he has a PhD, he has a master's degree, he has an undergraduate degree, and they're impressive areas. I'm gonna let him unpack all those wonderful things that he has been doing as he has been grooming and preparing himself for the journey that he's been on. But he's also has done some other things under his leadership. A number of wonderful initiatives have been completed at Virginia Union. He was selected as a primary HBCU institution under the Global Resource Solutions. He received for the mentor protege agreement with the Defense Intelligence Agency. He was also a recipient of the Dean of Distinction from Virginia Union National Alumni Association. As I said, he has over 37 years of work experience in teaching, research, and program management in higher education. His teaching strategies and learning resources were actually published in the CourseHero.com, and that is an online learning platform that has a reach of over 25 million course-specific study resources contributed by professionals from all over the world, and that was very recent. He's also co-authored The Federal Government Spending in the United States Economy, an empirical study of published in the Hampton University Quarterly Journal. He has co-sponsored a 2-day professional training. He has worked with employees in a number of other sector areas. He is a co-author of another handbook and guideline to student success. And he received a Dominion Higher Education Partnership Grant for Six Sigma credentialing and program enhancement. And this was to implement transition into the real world, an after-school program at Henrico High School. Dr. Odutola presented a paper, The Eternal Nature of God, at the God's Church in Ettrick, Virginia. He received a Spiritual Hero Award from the Frederick Ray Biblical Institute, and he received those twice within the 21st century. There is a lot to unpack today, Dr. Odutola, and I welcome you for our faculty spotlight. Let's get to know you, Dr. Odutola, and share with all of us. Tell us about yourself, tell us about your academic training, and tell us about your field of expertise.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson, for that wonderful bio. By way of background, in terms of academic preparation, College of William & Mary, 78, Virginia State, Master's in Economics, and then PhD in Economics and International Relations from Howard University. So that preparation gets me the springboard to launch into a career of teaching and research. Over the course of my teaching, started teaching, I believe, almost 40 years ago. But at Virginia University, in August, it will be 38 years. So there's a passion there. I've always moved by the philosophy that the classroom is a living space that gives us a moment in time to make a difference. What I mean by that is that we are all on a stage, and God provides opportunity for us to make a difference in the lives of our students. Over the years, I've enjoyed teaching students. I've also had administrative responsibilities, which I enjoyed as well. But what is more rewarding to me is to make a difference in the lives of the students. They come in raw. Also, I'm new to them as well. But you've got to reach the students in order to be able to teach them. So I use examples, real life examples, illustrations. In all my classes, most of my classes, I always ask the students, what's going on in your world? What's going on in the real world? So to bring real life events like the COVID-19, how is it impacting your life, your experience? Because students come to us just like faculty members, we have challenges. And those challenges could be obstacles in learning as well as in teaching. But with the power of the Almighty God inspiring us to do what we must do at a particular time. So it has been the moving force in my life and the support of my wonderful wife and family. So I've been able, blessed really, to be able to be an example to my students. And we always have fun. You can ask my students, we have fun in terms of making light of the subject and then getting back to the seriousness of the subject. So with all of that, that's been the passion, that's been my experience. That's what I've brought to the university. That's what I believe has sustained me up to this.
Wow, Dr. Odutola, thank you for sharing that. And so tell us, what are you teaching currently?
Currently, I'm teaching principles economics and finance. Those are really interrelated in the sense that to be able to manage, you should be able to learn how to manage your money in order to manage somebody else's money when you work for a company. At the same time, you've got to understand how the economy functions, because we are all decision makers. What I mean by that is we make decisions every day about where we spend our money, where we save our money, how we make our money. And so knowing these different roles and different activities will help us to understand that money is important. But what is also important is health. Good health is really wealth. And so if we know how to take care of our health and our well-being, then we can advocate towards managing our resources. So I have students in my class, we always talk about what's going on in the market. So from their experience, I can see where they are and then try to relate it to what we're talking about in the class. So I try to make it not only a teaching experience, but to make a difference in their lives so that even when they leave my class, they move on and we see each other somewhere. They can say, oh, I know you learned something in your class. And I say, yeah, I remember. That is what I want the students, the difference I like to make in the students in my econ class, my finance class.
Okay. So what attracted you to be a part of the Virginia Union University faculty and family?
Oh, okay. In 1983, I want to say, during that time, I was teaching at a university, a college not too far from VU. And at that point, I enjoyed teaching my students. And one student stood stand in my mind. He came to me after class and said, have you ever thought of teaching at Virginia University? I said, yeah. So he was impressed with the way I taught him and taught the class. And I was impressed with his teaching. So that then was the lynch that led me to apply to be. And from there, 83, I never thought I would be there until 2021. But what happens is, once you have a passion for what you do and you see the difference you're making, not only in the lives of the students, but also in the environment you're in, faculty, as an administrator, as a faculty member, we're all colleagues in an environment in which we try to make a difference. Because life is a stage. At one point, you will have to exit that stage. And what you leave behind is either good, bad, or indifferent. And I always like to make a difference that I know that God would be proud of, my family would be proud of, because when they call your name, you bring in the brand of that family and you bring in the brand of who you represent. Therefore, I try to do my best.
Well, what advice would you give then to students or others who are considering majors or minors or degree in business?
Well, there are a number of suggestions I would have for my students. One of which is make your college experience very rewarding. What do I mean by that? While in school, not just study, but look at this classroom, look at the environment, be a part of organizations, the fraternity, sorority, the sports teams, be also part of the debate club, drama club, anything that will enrich, make you a whole person. Because you live in this school, or you when you graduate, you bring in to that place a lot of skills. And so you want to represent yourself, where you want to have those skills, ability to communicate, ability to interact, ability to perform. So make sure you enrich yourself, not just study, but also have interpersonal skills. Also, personal growth. Seek opportunities to grow. That is, when you take courses, elective courses, take courses that will add value to your major. For instance, if you're majoring in marketing, psychology course is very relevant. If you're majoring in accounting or finance, cybersecurity, because that's where the industry is going. They want to marry technology with ability to make decisions in the classroom. Thirdly, follow the trend in the industry or that you're hoping to go into. That is, what's going on in finance, what's going on in business. In fact, since most of the students now are techie savvy, I would suggest that they update themselves with computer trends and career-related softwares. Know what's going on in that industry. Read up in the newspaper what's going on. And the other thing you want to do is develop professional network. That begins with your faculty, your advisor, and your classmate as well, and then the organization outside the campus. And lastly, internship, whether it's required in your major or not, because internship provides hands-on. Doing is what translates into growth. And when you can come out of that VUU with those skills, at core physical experience, develop yourself, you'll be a wholesome person. And also appearance is very important. How you carry yourself, what you speak about yourself, what you put on your Facebook, all of those are very important because they're telling of who you are.
Dr. Odutola, you had mentioned in your bio some published work that you did with teaching and learning resources with CourseHero.com. Can you share with us a little bit about some of those teaching and learning resources that were published?
Okay, the Learning Hero, as you mentioned, is a platform that allows educators and individuals to learn from others. And some of the things that I share with them, my style of teaching, how I make the classroom very practical. For example, when I'm teaching finance, I'm teaching economics, I like to use real life examples, illustrations. For instance, how does the Fed work? What is the role of the Federal Reserve? I use the example that the Federal Reserve is like a referee in a game. They monitor how the teams are playing. So the Fed monitors how monetary policy affects flow of money. Then I also use example that, when you're talking about incentives, really bonus points are incentives. And so you've got to work hard for it. And then I talk about the fact that you've got to reach the student. You are not only to perform teaching, but also you are there as a counselor, because you have to see, because the student comes to the classroom, sometimes with burden. And so you can reach them if that individual or those students have challenges. You got to look at the body language, you got to look at how they, what's going on in their life, the intonation, sometimes they will give you a hint. And so you use that as a way to segue into the material. So those are teaching styles. Different students learn differently. Some students learn using visual tools, and some students learn audio. So you try to relate, I try to relate to them in this. Those were things that I share with them, and some other resources that I believe will be helpful to them, research, mentoring, and attract my students. After leaving the universities, some of them still call me and write notes. Oh, this happened and so forth in my life. Those are the feedback that give me the energy to keep on moving forward. And I shared those the platform, and I've gotten some good reviews in terms of economics and finance.
What would you say for future deans in training and deans who are existing currently? How do you become a dean of distinction? How do you get that crown as dean of distinction?
Thank you for, I even forgot about that. It was the alumni, actually there were VUU alumni. They apparently been monitoring and observing, and some of them were, many of them were my, I taught many of them. There's so many names, big names. But the point is that from what they've learned from me and what I've learned from them, they've been in school, they've graduated, they form the alumni, VU alumni, and they sort of approached me and said, we like to do something. Okay. So the point is that they observe, they notice, and as a result, they recognize that there's the person that makes a difference in their lives, and they make a difference in my life. So the fact that they recognize that there's value added to their experience while they were at school, certainly stood in their minds, and they got together and then indicated that they wanted to make it known to not only the VU campus family, but to others. So that's how that came about, recognizing the value that had been added to their experience, what they've added to my experience.
Thank you for that. I wanted to leave a little time for questions. And one of the first questions is from one of your colleagues, peers here at Virginia Union, Dr. Winslow. And his question is, how important is writing for business students?
Oh, that's very, very important. The ability to communicate your thoughts verbally and in writing, orally and written, very important, because it is a way to get across your ideas, your thoughts. And one of the things that we need to stress our campus, anyway, particularly our students, is writing. Nothing distracts when you see an email with a lot of grammatical errors or the address, the tone is really offbeat. It's very lacking in respect and mannerism. It distracts, even though the person may have a legitimate complaint or may have a good point to make. So writing is very important. And we as faculty have to address these things, not just endorse it and pass it over and give them grades. I've been faulted for that sometimes in the course of trying to grade papers. These are things we need to do. Writing, thinking, analyzing. Those are the key elements. Be able to write your thoughts, express your thoughts, and be able to analyze situation, be able to make decisions. Very important. Good question.
So another question, and then I have a couple comments that are going to turn into a question. So you talk about in your bio being a high-level strategic thinker. What's the ingredients for that? Everyone that's listening wants to elevate to the high-level strategic thinker. What does it take?
Well, strategic and a thinker combined, meaning that you assess situation, you analyze your options. Sometimes you really want to say some things, but you hold your peace. That's wisdom. And sometimes you got to step in and make a difference by your input. And so that is strategically calculating when to say yes, when to say no. knowing fully well that what you say make a difference, positive or negative. Thinker means that you think through, because put yourself in the shoes of the individual that you're trying to relate to. Students, faculty, administrators. Remember, administrators also are human beings that have responsibility and a job to do. They may not have all the resources, yet they have to accomplish a task. Sometimes they may be heavy-handed in coming down the chain, and being in that role so I can relate. And sometimes us as the front line have to also understand that we've got to work together, because the common goal is that VUU or wherever we are, we've got to move forward. Our role is to play a part. That is thinking strategically. That is thinking that you are a part of a collage of experts in the different fields. And I'm no better than you, or they are no better than I am, that we've got to work together. Sometimes it may result into resolve issues, but sometimes you got to think back and remember that you've got to wake up next morning, we've got to see that person again. Would you be able to look at them in the face and say, how you doing? So that's the way you think strategically. That's the way you live, I live on it.
So I have one more question, and then I have a couple comments I want to share as we wrap up. How do you find the time to write? As reading your bio, you have co-authored, you have published just throughout your career. How do you find the time to do that?
Well, that's one thing I'm guilty of. You spend a lot of time in the front of the computer. There are a lot of things, a number of things that I do that even is not in the bio. But in terms of where do I find the time? Again, in terms of that's having the balance. Sometimes I'm heavily handed in terms of work. And then there's little time for family. And there's time when I have to be reminded that, wait a minute, you still have the pastoral responsibility. You still have the family responsibility. So where do I find the time? I've got to remind myself or be reminded that there's time for everything. If I try to do all of writing, the number of short writing that I do, a presentation I do. In fact, this weekend, we have a program to do pastoral memorial service. So all of those are things that are in my plate. And I've got to always go to the source, and that is God, and ask for guidance and wisdom, what I need to do at each time.
So I do want to say, though, and ask, your teaching approach looks so simple. You make complex concepts look so easy to understand. How's that so? Enos has asked that.
Yeah, that's what I've always prayed for. And every day I always think, how can I make it very simple for the student to understand? Yes, you can. When I'm talking with my colleagues, there's a way I can relate to them. But when I'm talking to, remember, these students are coming from high school, 18 years, 19 years old. Here I am in my close to, and then what happens is, how do I relate? Different generations. So I've got to try and bring myself down to the point where I can look at them eye to eye, use examples they can relate to, use lingua they can relate to, use illustration that they can relate to. That way, we have a meeting of the minds, and we can understand that, oh, I'm talking about money. I'm talking about finance. I'm talking about micro, macro. Oh, what happens in the family? How do you manage your money at home? I'm talking about micro. So when we talk about how's it coming to, I'm talking about macro. So I try to let them relate. I relate those things in that concept.
So a few comments as we wrap up. So Dr. Miss Shepherd, I would be remiss if I didn't do his comment first, because he wrote you know how he writes this, just a dissertation for every comment. But Dr. Odutola, he says, you continue to be a scholar of character, of integrity and trustworthiness of the highest order. You have demonstrated an exceptional array of skills and abilities. You had the vision, you had the initiative, passion, and energy to make a decisive impact on the continued success of the institution. And Dr. Carl Jackson says that, and practices what he preaches, highly respectful and commanding of respect, a pleasure to work with. And a comment also, Dr. Singh, Dr. Odutola is humble. He has very good with students and have written dozens of papers and mentor to me. He is spiritual and asks him where get his patients. So he want to know, where did you get your patients from? And then Professor, Assistant Dean, Doctor in Training Ragland has said, Dr. O, may God continue to bless you with wisdom and success. Dr. Odutola, it's been wonderful spending 30 minutes with you. We all got an opportunity just to learn a little bit more about you, and wow, what a journey you have been on. And I'm certain that journey is not over yet for you. Dr. Strayhorn has joined us, and his comment is, thank you for sharing your wisdom and insight with us. And Alex Lee, Dr. O, you are still the inspiration of students that you were for your students in the class of 1984. Both my wife, Barbara, and I, Alex Lee, are part of your success story. Isn't that wonderful, Dr. O? And then Dr. Robbie, Dr. Odutola is an excellent faculty member, and I am happy to be his dean. How wonderful. Dr. Robin Davis has commented that. And so, Dr. Odutola, again, it has been wonderful. They're just pouring in now, all the comments. So I can't help but share them because we still have a few minutes. So Dr. Boykin Saunders, and you know how eloquent he is. And he says, thank you for your presentation. Given your continental African background, do you find it useful in the diasporic context of teaching and service?
I know you do have, let me acknowledge all those who've written very fabulous commentaries. I really appreciate it with humbleness in my heart. And I said, thank you very much. Each one has made a difference in the in meetings, in working together. Everyone has really made a difference in my life. They don't know that. But I really appreciate the fact that they have very positive things to say. And I thank them very much, and I respect them for their views. And I just want to say that also, Dr. Jackson, you know, we've gone long ways, and you're still really commendable in terms of what you do and how you handle things. And my dean, Dr. Davis, thank you so much. Colleagues, thank you so much. My student, that's what I said, that when students can make comments and they've left you and you're still memorable in their minds, that's what makes the work very easy and give me the energy to come to work every day. Smile and let whatever the challenge is, to say, well, it's another day. So I really appreciate that. Thanks.
Well, you know what? I would be remiss before we actually bring closure to today, just to take another moment to let you know a number of your students have been listening this morning, and they have some special comments as well. I'll just share a few. Jordan, high-spirited professor. I enjoy having him. Lee Copo, of course, I have to say something about athletics. Thanks for your support of our students and student athletes and performers. And Devin Sims says, teaching me a lot in microeconomics. And you know, that just sounds like it's just hard, right? But you make it easy. So he's commented on that. And Victoria Whiteside, a great professor, always energetic and happy, no matter how early in the morning. And then Faith Barbara, one of our own, who's an alum, apparently she knows your work as well. She said, Dr. Odutola played a vital role in my academic career at VUU. Such a wonderful, noble man, professor, and mentor. And then Alif Khalif Tate, Dr. O is an awesome professor, and I love it. Dr. Odutola, I tell you, did you bring your tissues? Because these are just so stirring to know that you are so appreciated in the work that you do. And sometimes we don't get a chance to hear it or tell you that in a public forum like this. But they're just pouring in, and I just love reading them because they just great. Dr. Ramses, a great man, great professor. John Harris, thank you for making the Ruth Pohl Harris Institute. You left that one off. Yes, you did. You are the driver of that. You have your thumbprint all over it. A success that it is today. Keep up the great work. And then Ruth Harris. Congratulations, Dr. Odutola. You make me proud. We worked together for many years, and I have seen you grow. Congratulations, Dr. Odutola. I feel like you should be crowned today and wear a crown the whole day, even with a slash across, just to recognize you and how awesome and wonderful you have been. And we've enjoyed being a part of your journey and hearing about you today. 30 minutes is just not enough time. It's just not enough time. But I thank you again so much. And I thank all of you for joining us today for the Faculty Spotlight. And join us next week. Our guest next week is Pari Valad, and she will be here today for next Friday for us to spotlight her. Until the next time, enjoy your day and have a sunshiny day and weekend. Bye now.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Odutola. How wonderful. They're just pouring in. You are so appreciated.
Thank you.
And who's DJ Johnson? You the man.